In the aftermath of the revelation that Roman wishes to call off the engagement, a palpable tension grips the room. Flora's father, processing this unexpected turn of events, begins to believe that this arranged marriage, which once seemed like a strategic move for the Lawrence family, is now a thing of the past. The Lawrences, already burdened with a somewhat tarnished reputation, realize that no reputable family would be willing to proceed with an arranged marriage under such circumstances. Flora's father, contemplating the weight of the situation, determines that the family must confront and resolve their internal issues without relying on external alliances. Baron Lawrence, patriarch of the family, furrows his brow as he contemplates the potential consequences. Concerned that a collaboration between Dimitry and Barco might leave the Lawrence family vulnerable and unable to mount an effective defense, he takes a moment to reflect on a strategy to avert this crisis. Baron Lawrence, recognizing the gravity of the situation, decides to humble himself before Baron Dimitry. Bowing slightly, Baron Lawrence apologizes to Baron Dimitry, emphasizing that the entire debacle is a consequence of actions taken by the Lawrence family. He expresses regret and remorse, acknowledging that mistakes were made within their own household. Baron Lawrence, in an attempt to salvage the situation, assures Baron Dimitry that the Lawrence family will forego collecting taxes from those belonging to their lineage. However, Baron Lawrence is acutely aware that this monetary gesture, though intended as a meaningful apology, might hold little significance to the affluent owner of Oran Miners. Nevertheless, he hopes that it serves as a symbolic act of contrition, an olive branch extended to quell the burgeoning feud between the two families. Baron Dimitry, a figure of poise and grace, listens attentively to Baron Lawrence's apology. However, he dismisses the need for such gestures, revealing a mindset that doesn't dwell on potential future conflicts. In his eyes, the Dimitrys are not ones to meticulously weigh their options when confronted with the prospect of future disputes. He advises Baron Lawrence to make a public announcement attributing the end of the engagement to Flora's personal reasons. This, he suggests, would nullify any reason for Dimitry to align with the Barco family, effectively diffusing the potential collaboration that worried Baron Lawrence. Flora's father, relieved at Baron Dimitry's understanding, expresses gratitude for his wisdom and guidance. As they prepare to leave the room, a lingering gaze from Lawrence Dimitry towards Roman hints at a realization. Had he been fully aware of Roman's true worth, he might have been more cautious in advising Flora against impulsive decisions. In this moment of reflection, he acknowledges his own oversight. As the Lawrences exit the room, Roman's father seizes the opportunity to inquire about Roman's experiences over the past week. Roman, recounting the events, explains that the past 7 days were dedicated to intensive training within the confines of a shed. During this period, his focus was on purifying his body, eliminating all impurities, in a quest to attain the coveted human stage of development. As Roman traverses the intricate stages of the human journey, each step unfolds as a crucial building block toward his ultimate transformation into a heavenly demon magician. The Murim standards may not readily applaud these achievements, but within the context of a world saturated with abundant mana and the imperative need to purify Roman's body of lingering impurities, every foundational stride takes on profound significance. The tangible, observable changes in Roman's physical appearance stand as irrefutable proof that he has undergone a metamorphosis, emerging as an entirely distinct entity from his former self. Articulating the depth of this profound transformation to his father poses a formidable challenge. Roman, however, decides to open a window into his solitary training, revealing that amidst the rigorous regimen, he managed to unlock his mind. Though the specifics elude his recollection, Roman holds steadfast to the belief that mana has commenced its circulation throughout his body. The revelation leaves Baron Dimitry, the venerable patriarch of the Dimitry family, visibly taken aback. Learning that Roman has achieved mana circulation, a rare phenomenon enhancing physical capabilities by harnessing natural mana within the body, leaves Baron Dimitry astonished. Such feats are typically reserved for a select few. Witnessing Roman, often dismissed as the fool of Dimitry, accomplish extraordinary tasks, such as confronting the formidable Bloodfang, compels Baron Dimitry to acknowledge that Roman is charting a transformative path beyond the understanding of ordinary mortals. Yet in the face of these awe-inspiring developments, Baron Dimitry maintains the unwavering stance of a father. He underscores to Roman that, irrespective of the extraordinary journey he embarks upon, Roman remains his son. Baron Dimitry issues a poignant reminder, urging Roman to be mindful that his father is ready to extend a helping hand whenever it is needed. Emphasizing the importance of Roman's lineage as the son of Romero Dimitry, Baron Dimitry, assures Roman of steadfast support from the shadows. This revelation instigates a profound shift in Roman's perception. Reflecting on his time in Murim, where his father's demeanor was marked by coldness and distance, Roman is moved by the stark contrast presented by his father on earth, a figure not characterized by coldness or ruthlessness, but one offering genuine and unwavering support. This newfound connection with his father fills Roman with gratitude, manifesting in a heartfelt smile and a sincere expression of thanks. Exiting his father's office, Roman's path intertwines with that of Flora, adding yet another layer to the intricate tapestry of his experiences. In a moment of vulnerability and sincerity, Flora extends a heartfelt apology to Roman. She acknowledges the hastiness of her judgments and the resultant complications that reverberated through both of their families. Roman, now radiating confidence and a newfound understanding, responds with grace, assuring Flora that there is no need for an apology. He articulates that, irrespective of their shared past, he had no intentions of continuing with the marriage. As Roman gracefully walks away, leaving Flora to contemplate the shifting dynamics of their relationship, Flora approached Roman quietly from behind, acknowledging the justified anger that simmered within him. Despite their arranged marriage, she understood that neither of them had willingly agreed to it. Moreover, Flora acknowledged her lapse in breaking the promise without prior discussion. However, seizing the moment, she felt compelled to share a crucial revelation with Roman. There was a special reason behind the abrupt cancellation of their impending marriage. Roman, taken aback by this unexpected disclosure, turned to gaze at Flora, a mix of surprise and curiosity etched on his features. Flora began to unravel the intricacies of the situation. During a social gathering hosted by the royal families of the Northeast, a damaging rumor had circulated. It suggested that Flora would be engaged to a member of the Dimitry family. The rumor, however, took a darker turn, insinuating that Roman Dimitry himself indulged in the consumption of drugs, substances that corrode one's sanity and erode knowledge. This revelation struck Roman with a certain gravity. Flora believed it was essential for him to know, despite the falsity of the rumors. At that time, she found herself unable to ignore the malicious gossip that had taken hold of their social circles. Roman, processing this information, assured Flora that regardless of the rumors, their relationship remained unchanged. He comforted her, expressing that there was no need for her to harbor worries any longer. With those words, Roman departed, leaving Flora to contemplate the significance of their conversation. Later that evening, Roman found solace in the library, accompanied by his loyal butler, Hans. The weight of Flora's words lingered in his thoughts. As Roman reflected, he realized that during his intensive training, he had been unable to sense any traces of drugs circulating within his body. This fact stood in stark contrast to the rumors that had suggested otherwise. While signs of medicinal use were apparent in the process of ending the previous Roman's life, it became evident that any remnants of such substances had been completely purged from his system during the rigorous training. Intrigued by these revelations, Roman turned to Hans for insight. He questioned whether Hans had ever witnessed him partaking in drugs or if there had been instances where Hans suspected him of such behavior. Hans, visibly taken aback by the inquiry, was shocked to hear Roman pose such questions. Clarifying that he wasn't jesting, Roman explained that he sought to use this moment to reevaluate his life choices. Instead of relying solely on his own memories, he aimed to gain an external perspective, an unbiased lens through which to scrutinize his past actions and decisions. Hans, unsure of how to broach the topic with Roman, eventually musters the courage to share his observations. Although he hasn't directly witnessed anything, there were instances when Hans found Roman's actions a bit peculiar. In response to Roman's inquiry about when this occurred, Hans recalls an incident from a month ago. During this time, Roman had just returned from a social gathering. While the event itself didn't seem noteworthy, Hans noticed that Roman appeared to be in an unusual state upon his return. Subsequently, it seemed to Hans that Roman had lost the will to live, confining himself to his room. Night after night, Roman would request excessive amounts of alcohol. This led Hans to speculate that Roman might have accessed drugs during that particular party. Clarifying his thoughts, Hans conveys to Roman that, though he initially found the idea far-fetched, it was a concern that lingered. Roman, absorbing this information, reflects on the social gathering hosted by the royal families. Seeking more clarity, he asks Hans if he knows who hosted that party. Hans identifies the host as Anthony Barco, the eldest son of the Barco family. This revelation triggers a cascade of thoughts for Roman. Recalling the events from the perspective of the previous Roman, who had an arranged marriage planned with the Lawrence family, attending a social party hosted by the Barco family had led to abrupt changes in his mental state. Eventually, he decided to take his own life. Connecting the dots, Roman begins to piece together the puzzle of what transpired during that social gathering. Roman found himself grappling with a cascade of perplexing thoughts concerning the demise of the old Roman. A deep dive into the will revealed an unsettling focus. The old Roman's decision to partake in battle instead of allowing his two younger siblings to face the perils. What struck Roman as odd was the sole mention of fear of the unknown on the battlefield. But here's the twist. Roman, the current one, was already betrothed to Flora, and in the intricate tapestry of royalty, wedded members had ample avenues to sidestep the grim call to war. The perplexity deepened as Roman pondered why the old Roman, seemingly on the brink of marital bliss, chose to end his own life out of fear. Something didn't quite add up in Roman's discerning mind. The scrutiny of his own circumstances intensified Roman's internal investigation. He had been promised to Flora, and marriage, a sanctuary from the battlefield, awaited him. A confounding reality lay before Roman. While there were numerous ways for him to avoid the tumult of war, the old Roman had chosen the path of no return. This disconcerting revelation fueled Roman's conviction that there was more to the story than met the eye. Roman, perched on a sofa in contemplation, turned to Hans for solace and answers. He inquired about the nature of the relationship between Hans and Anthony Barco. Hans's response was an unsettling revelation. No one had spent time with Roman lately, and an air of animosity seemed to have enveloped him. Particularly around the time discussions about his union with Lawrence began, Roman's astute mind connected the dots. The arranged marriage between Dimitry and Lawrence emerged as a formidable obstacle for the Barcos, who harbored ambitions of seizing control over the vast lands owned by Lawrence. In Roman's eyes, thwarting this marriage would be the simplest solution to the Barcos' predicament. The hypothesis unfolded further in Roman's thoughts. Barco, driven by a ruthless desire for power, might have employed every means at their disposal to influence the old Roman. Was this Machiavellian maneuvering the catalyst that led the old Roman to his tragic end? The pieces of the puzzle began to align in Roman's mind, painting a picture of manipulation and coercion that culminated in the ultimate tragedy. As the weight of these revelations settled, Hans dropped another bombshell. They had received an invitation from the Barco family a few days ago. Roman's surprise at the Barcos extending an olive branch was palpable. Yet the timing was unfortunate. It coincided with Roman's foray into intensive training. The invitation loomed before them, a decision awaiting resolution. Hans, uncertain about the course of action, sought Roman's guidance. Roman, his face adorned with a sly smirk, felt a surge of confidence. The Barcos, it seemed, were underestimating him. Whatever machinations they were plotting, it bothered Roman. His decision was unequivocal. He would attend the party. The scene transitioned to the next day, unfolding within the grandeur of Dimitry Palace. Hans sought out Kevin to deliver the news that Roman awaited him. Hans, the trusted aide, cautioned Kevin not to be overly surprised by the apparent changes in young Master Roman. Taking in this advice, Kevin, visibly surprised, assured Hans that he understood. With that, Kevin ventured into the room, prompted by the earlier summons. As he questioned Roman about the call, Roman, looking back, gestured for Kevin to enter. The room held an air of unfamiliarity, and Kevin couldn't help but notice a subtle shift in Roman's demeanor. He pondered if this was what Hans had alluded to, the intangible alteration in the atmosphere surrounding young Master Roman. Seated in the room, Roman, seemingly different, prompted Kevin to join him. In response to Roman's question about his recent well-being, Kevin, with a genuine smile, shared that he was doing great. Hans's assistance had played a significant role in helping him acclimate to the palace environment. However, with a hint of uncertainty in his voice, Kevin broached the subject that had been lingering in his thoughts. He confessed to Roman that, despite the positive adjustment, he found himself questioning his role within the palace. Kevin candidly expressed doubt about how someone as ordinary as him could truly make a meaningful contribution to young Master Roman's life. Despite Roman's directive to live for him, Kevin sought clarity on what practical actions he, an ordinary individual, could take. Roman, displaying a level of insight and self-awareness that caught Kevin off guard, revealed his intention to utilize Kevin as his metaphorical sword. This unexpected revelation left Kevin surprised and curious about the implications of such a role. Roman, ever the strategist, then unveiled a unique approach. Instead of dictating Kevin's role, he presented three distinct paths, allowing Kevin agency in choosing his destiny. The first option was for Kevin to relinquish the role of being Roman's sword if the idea of wielding such power was daunting. In this scenario, Kevin could still contribute as Roman's hands and feet, absorbing knowledge and guidance from Hans. The second choice was more intriguing but came with its own set of challenges. Roman proposed that Kevin could become his sword, standing as a protector by his side. However, there was a catch. Given Kevin's lack of experience with a sword, Roman outlined a test of will that involved enduring excruciating pain. Roman explained that this pain would manifest through a method known as limb crushing, a visceral experience simulating the sensation of bones and muscles being crushed. Roman looked intently at Kevin, his words laden with a promise that went beyond mere rhetoric. He assured Kevin that these were not empty words but a commitment backed by a sincere willingness to prove Kevin's true worth. The atmosphere hung heavy with tension as Roman laid out an unconventional option before Kevin. A sword, a drastic measure. Kevin was to sever his own hand. Roman believed in the transformative power of self-inflicted pain, convinced that enduring such a sacrifice could propel Kevin to heights of strength unimaginable to others. As Roman spoke, his mind wandered to the tale of a once mad demon, astray on the unforgiving streets who, through sheer willpower, had risen to become one of the enigmatic four heavenly kings. The power of one's will, Roman mused, could transcend the boundaries of the ordinary, turning the seemingly impossible into reality. The question lingered in the air. What would Kevin choose? The room bore witness to the weight of Kevin's decision. Roman, ever calculating, made it clear that regardless of Kevin's choice, he intended to extract value from the outcome. In the recesses of Kevin's mind, memories of his humble origins outside Dimitry Castle resurfaced. The crumbling walls of the old house were a stark reminder of the harsh reality that shaped his early years. Born into adversity, Kevin learned the ropes of survival early on. Following in the footsteps of his parents, he toiled tirelessly, learning every conceivable skill that life demanded. Yet despite his efforts, Kevin's life remained a cycle of stagnation. No matter how hard he worked, someone always appeared to snatch away the fruits of his labor. The narrative of the week, Kevin thought, a life constantly at the mercy of external forces. It was this very narrative that had etched itself into Kevin's consciousness, making it impossible for him to forget the overwhelming strength Roman displayed against the formidable Blood Fang. As Kevin grappled with the decision before him, he contemplated the significance of cutting off his own hand. The act seemed incomprehensible, its implications shrouded in mystery. Yet a burning desire for change, a yearning for strength beyond the ordinary, fueled Kevin's resolve. If cutting off his hand was the path to strength, a strength capable of rivaling the young master Roman's, then perhaps it was a sacrifice worth making. In a moment of clarity, Kevin voiced his decision to Roman. The room fell silent and Roman regarded him with a serious expression, assessing the gravity of Kevin's choice. Without hesitation, Kevin, fueled by a demonic determination, took up the sword and proceeded to cut off his own hand. The air thickened with tension, and even Roman, known for his calculated demeanor, couldn't conceal his surprise at the sheer intensity of Kevin's resolve. The setting transforms beyond the confines of the room, where Chris strides purposefully toward Roman's quarters. In his mind, Chris is convinced that he has made the choice to forsake his knighthood and align himself with young Master Roman. However, just as he nears the threshold, Roman surprises everyone by declaring a week-long commitment to intensive training. Disheartened by this unexpected turn of events, Chris spots Hans and seeks information about Roman's whereabouts. Word has it that Roman has concluded his training, so Chris inquires of Hans about Roman's location. Hans reveals that the young master is engaged in a private conversation with Kevin, instructing him not to allow anyone entry during their discussion. Chris is left dispirited by this revelation. Inside the room, a chilling scene unfolds. Kevin, in a shocking act, severs his own hand, collapsing unconscious onto the floor. Roman, wearing a stern expression, observes Kevin with a grave demeanor. Meanwhile, outside the room, Hans discovers a sword stained with blood. Concerned, he questions Roman about the gruesome discovery. With a smirk, Roman reassures Hans that the blood isn't his own and divulges that he had cast an illusion spell called the Charm of the Illusion Demon on Kevin. Roman explains that the illusion made it appear to Kevin as though he had amputated his hand, a calculated test to assess Kevin's resilience. Roman reflects on the precarious nature of the situation, acknowledging that had the illusion been even slightly weaker, Kevin might have actually severed his entire hand. With only 2 weeks until the party and 6 months until the impending war, Roman is invigorated by the prospect of imparting crucial lessons. A sly smile creeps across his face as he contemplates the busy days ahead, eager to share his knowledge and prepare for the challenges looming on the horizon. The following day dawned, with Roman approaching Kevin with an air of anticipation. He disclosed a secret to Kevin, a technique of mana enhancement that carried with it an aura of danger. Kevin, taken aback by this revelation, couldn't fathom why Roman would teach him such a perilous skill. The notion of Roman instructing him in the ways of mana enhancement was a surprise in itself. In Roman's mind, this technique was no ordinary skill. It was a page from the ancient martial arts manual, the Soul Spirit God technique, once wielded by the Mad Demon and securely stored in the main house's treasury. Roman believed this technique was far from ordinary. It was a perilous method that consumed the user's spirit. It granted power in the face of extreme pain, even when the user had lost all limbs. The Mad Demon had mastered it under intense agony, becoming a valuable asset to Roman. Convinced of Kevin's potential, Roman felt that if Kevin had the resolve to sever his own hand willingly, he possessed the capability to grasp this technique. It was not just any technique, it was a potent force that demanded unwavering spirit. Roman stressed the dangers, cautioning Kevin about the toll it would take on his spirit. The technique required a resilience that surpassed the trials of yesterday. Roman saw this mana technique as a catalyst for Kevin's growth, a means to make him progressively stronger. Despite the perils, Roman believed it was the fastest way to impart mana knowledge to a teenager lacking the basics. If Kevin could master this technique, he would possess the strength to safeguard everything dear to him. Listening to Roman's words, Kevin felt a surge of happiness. Not only had Roman saved him from the clutches of Bloodfang, but now he was also bestowing a powerful technique upon him. Gratitude welled up within Kevin, and he couldn't help but express his feelings. There was, however, a burning question in Kevin's mind, one he hesitated to ask. Kevin, overwhelmed with emotion, finally questioned Roman about the depth of trust he had placed in him. He admitted that despite swearing loyalty to Roman and pledging his life, he hadn't demonstrated his worth. In a moment of vulnerability, Kevin even confessed his fear of potentially running away after acquiring the technique. He sought an understanding from Roman, wanting to know why the young master had such unwavering trust in him. Roman, with a subtle smile, responded with a simple yet profound answer: just because. Surprise rippled across Kevin's face as Roman disclosed the perilous nature of the mana enhancement technique he was about to teach. Nevertheless, Roman reassured Kevin that their training would commence the following day, urging him to rest for the remainder of the day. As Roman exited, he found himself ruminating on Kevin's inquiry about trust, a question that resonated with a similar one posed by the Mad Demon in Roman's past life. In Roman's reflections, he concluded that unconditional trust could only be attained when someone truly believed in another. Despite initial doubts, Roman harbored a deep conviction that Kevin would never betray him. The rationale lay in the understanding that, as Kevin grew stronger, he would realize the inherent danger in betraying the Heavenly Demon. The scene transitioned to the training grounds of Dimitry on the next day, where Roman initiated Kevin into the basics of the technique. Stressing the foundational importance of correct movements, Roman underlined that every action hinged on mastering these fundamentals. Kevin absorbed the teachings, understanding the significance of focus in executing each movement accurately. On the periphery, Chris watched with a sense of boredom and confusion. He couldn't comprehend why Roman was dedicating time to teach swordsmanship to Kevin, a seemingly peculiar choice. Adding to his frustration was the fact that Roman seemed to be neglecting Chris himself. Initially, Chris had believed that aligning himself with Roman would be a shortcut to rapid strength gains. Now, however, he felt like a mere bystander, contemplating a return to Jonathan for guidance. Days rolled by, and Chris's impatience grew. Approaching Roman, he candidly expressed his frustration, acknowledging that the initial week had been spent on Roman's personal training. The subsequent week had him relegated to the sidelines while Kevin basked in Roman's attention. Feeling overlooked and neglected, Chris questioned whether Roman's behavior was a consequence of his initial rudeness. Chris extended a sincere apology if that were the case, expressing a genuine desire for guidance. He pleaded with Roman to extend the same level of teaching to him, asserting confidence in his ability to grasp any skill Roman had to offer. After the revelation, Roman leaned in, reminding Chris of his previous counsel to learn through observation. Chris, taken aback, sought clarification, questioning whether Roman intended for him to literally watch and learn. Roman, with a calm demeanor, explained the intricacies of individual learning styles. For Kevin, a novice, Roman needed to guide him from the inception of his journey until he reached a certain level of expertise. In contrast, Chris possessed a different approach. Regardless of Roman's teachings, Chris tended to force himself into learning rather than embracing a genuine understanding. Slightly perplexed, Chris probed Roman about the possibility of continuing to observe. Roman, however, dismissed the idea by tossing a wooden sword towards Chris, indicating that tangible results were necessary for Chris to accept the truth. The wooden sword symbolized a challenge, a test of Chris's abilities. Curiosity etched on his face, Chris questioned the purpose of the wooden sword. Roman, ever the strategic mentor, explained that Chris needed to demonstrate concrete results to grasp the reality of his current skill level. The ensuing challenge was a spar, but not a conventional one. Roman proposed a face-off between Chris and Kevin with a twist. Roman would offer guidance to Kevin on how to defeat Chris. Essentially, Kevin would become a reflection of Roman's prowess. This proposition left both Kevin and Chris visibly surprised. Roman emphasized that even though Kevin was Chris's immediate opponent, Roman's advice would tip the scales, making Kevin a mirror image of Roman's combat style. Roman informs Chris that if following their current sparring session, Chris remains convinced of his correctness, Roman will take on the responsibility of personally teaching Chris. Chris becomes upset at the prospect of having to spar with this beginner. Undeterred, Chris reluctantly accepted the challenge, declaring his readiness to prove that he was not a mere pushover. The stage was set for a spar between Kevin and Chris, an unexpected match that would unravel the complexities of their respective learning journeys. As the two contenders faced each other, tension hung in the air. Kevin, the novice, voiced his concerns, seeking guidance from Roman about sparring with a two-star knight like Chris. Roman acknowledged Kevin's disadvantage, but seized the opportunity to impart a crucial life lesson. He drew parallels between those stronger than Kevin in the world, including the oppressive Blood Fang and Chris, who harbored eagerness to assert dominance over Kevin. In Roman's eyes, this spar was not merely a physical contest, but a reflection of life's challenges. Kevin, despite his disadvantages, had nothing to lose from defeat. Roman's wisdom extended beyond the training grounds, encompassing the harsh realities of the world they inhabited. When Roman questioned Kevin's passive approach, Kevin decided to take it seriously. He assured Roman that he was willing to give it a shot and prepared to face Chris with newfound determination. Witnessing Kevin's transformation, Chris felt annoyed to spar with what seemed like an inexperienced novice, puzzled by Kevin's unexpected confidence. As the match began under Roman's watchful eye, Chris charged at Kevin with full force. Despite Kevin's attempts to block Chris's attacks, he struggled to maintain control of his wooden sword. Chris swiftly changed the sword's direction, causing Kevin to lose his grip. In a surprising twist, Chris delivered a powerful knee strike to Kevin's stomach, sending him tumbling to the ground. As Kevin found himself sprawled on the ground, Roman's voice echoed in his mind, urging him to rise. Responding to the telepathic command, Kevin pushed himself up. The unexpected communication came with an explanation from Roman, introducing Kevin to the concept of sound conduction, a method of delivering instructions through mana. Intrigued and slightly bewildered, Kevin listened as Roman informed him that he would receive instructions through this unique technique. Kevin's surprise lingered as he realized that even communication through mana was within the realm of possibilities. Roman wasted no time and immediately put the method into action. "Throw yourself to the right," came Roman's first command. Focused and determined, Kevin swiftly moved to the right, narrowly dodging an incoming attack from Chris. The sudden agility surprised not only Chris, but also Kevin himself. Roman's telepathic guidance had proven effective, showcasing the potential of this unconventional training method. Encouraged by the success of the first maneuver, Roman directed Kevin to turn around and aim for Chris's left chest. Kevin followed the instruction meticulously, demonstrating a level of precision that caught Chris off guard. However, Chris, relying on his seasoned skills, managed to evade Kevin's strike with a deft move, leaving Kevin momentarily vulnerable. Seizing the opportunity, Chris retaliated with a swift kick aimed at Kevin's stomach. The impact sent a jolt through Kevin's body, but he managed to withstand the blow through sheer determination. Reflecting on the experience, Kevin acknowledged that while he had followed Roman's instructions accurately, the speed of his attack had left him susceptible to Chris's countermove. Undeterred, Roman guided Kevin to block an attack from above. Kevin, trusting in Roman's instructions, raised his wooden sword just in time to intercept Chris's downward swing. The successful defense showcased not only Kevin's growing skills, but also the effectiveness of Roman's telepathic training method. The next command came swiftly. Roman instructed Kevin to escape to the right. However, before Kevin could execute the maneuver, Chris seized the moment and landed a solid punch directly on Kevin's face. The force sent Kevin sprawling back to the ground, momentarily stunned by the unexpected blow. Chris, finding the situation amusing, acknowledged Kevin's resilience but maintained the belief that Kevin was no match for Roman. As the match continued, Kevin grappled with the realization that his body struggled to keep up with Roman's commands. Despite the setback, he marveled at the precision with which Chris moved in response to Roman's guidance. In Kevin's perspective, Chris seemed like a puppet being manipulated by Roman, each move a calculated step in a larger strategy. Roman, undeterred by the temporary setback, instructed Kevin to turn his body towards the right and charge forward to counterattack. Eager to prove himself, Kevin followed the command, aiming to catch Chris off guard. However, Chris, displaying his prowess, skillfully dodged Kevin's counterattack and swiftly responded with a powerful punch to Kevin's face. Chris, confident in his prowess, believed he was on the offensive, attempting to strike Kevin down. However, Kevin, seemingly one step ahead, continuously eluded critical moments and retaliated with counterattacks that took Chris by surprise. Chris began to question whether Kevin's strategic maneuvers were mere coincidences or a display of calculated skill. Observing Chris's struggle, Kevin, despite being considered Dimitry's greatest genius, saw a stark contrast between his abilities and the true skills possessed by young Master Roman. In Kevin's eyes, Roman's mastery surpassed that of any individual, making him a figure worthy of unwavering loyalty. Despite the logical inconsistency of pledging allegiance to someone in such a manner, Kevin felt compelled to follow Roman's guidance, seeing it as an absolute directive. Following Roman's telepathic instruction, Kevin charged at Chris with all his might. The intensity of their exchange pushed Kevin to the edge, physically and mentally. Acknowledging Kevin's fatigue, Chris, with a hint of concern, warned him that continuing could result in the deformation of one of his body parts. Instead of showing fear, Kevin surprised both Chris and Roman by smirking. In that moment, Kevin's confidence signaled a determination to face whatever physical consequences lay ahead, showcasing an unwavering resolve that intrigued and perplexed his opponents. Undeterred by Chris's warning, Kevin proposed continuing the spar until the end with a confident smile on his face. This unexpected turn of events caught Chris off guard, who, now facing a seemingly tireless opponent, charged at Kevin with heightened killer intent. The intensity of their clash escalated, and just as Chris was about to close in on Kevin, Roman intervened with a strategic twist. Following Roman's guidance, Kevin pressed forward unexpectedly. Chris, expecting Kevin to retreat, was taken aback by this change in tactic. Seizing the opportunity, Roman directed Kevin to turn around and charge again. Chris, sensing an opening in Kevin's attack, struck with the anticipation of Kevin's next move. To everyone's surprise, Kevin deftly dodged Chris's attack and countered with a powerful swing of his wooden sword. In an unexpected turn, Chris, displaying agility and quick thinking, ducked and unleashed a forceful counterattack that sent Kevin flying to the ground. The spar concluded, leaving both combatants with a newfound respect for each other's abilities. Roman, analyzing the entire sequence, concluded that Chris had strategically swung his sword with the anticipation of Kevin's ducking and correctly expected the second attack to be a feint. Back on the ground, Chris, still processing the intensity of the spar, was genuinely surprised by the challenge Kevin had posed. Roman, ever the insightful mentor, approached and acknowledged Chris as the winner. True to his promise, Roman offered to personally teach Chris starting from the next day. However, Roman left the decision in Chris' hands, emphasizing that he had the choice in this matter. In the quiet solitude of his room, Chris found himself reflecting on the recent spar with Kevin, questioning the motives behind engaging in a battle that seemed to offer him nothing to gain from a victory. As he replayed the scenarios in his mind, Chris couldn't help but recognize the time he had seemingly wasted and the near defeat he had narrowly avoided in the final maneuvers. The echoes of that challenging encounter brought to mind a similar situation he had experienced during a spar with Roman, a day etched into his memory through countless mental replays. The profound impact of that past experience with Roman became evident to Chris as he contemplated the recent spar with Kevin. He realized that without the insights gained from his encounters with Roman, overcoming Kevin without relying on aura would have presented a significant challenge. A smile crept onto Chris's face as he acknowledged the tangible growth resulting from that singular experience. The next day, as the practice resumed, Roman, ever perceptive, approached Chris, inquiring about his preferences moving forward. In response, Chris expressed a desire to navigate his journey towards strength independently. He assured Roman that he didn't need personal instruction and was determined to seek growth by following young Master Roman's lead. It was a testament to Chris's evolving mindset, acknowledging the value of learning and self-discovery. Reflecting on the spar with Kevin, Chris marveled at the precision of Kevin's decisions in every situation. Contrary to Chris's initial belief, he realized that Roman had indeed provided instructions to Kevin during their exchange. Chris's misconception gave way to a profound understanding that in attempting to decipher Roman's decisions, his mind had become a receptacle for invaluable teachings. Chris's newfound confidence emanated from this realization that the young master, once perceived as a defeated figure, had evolved into a source of profound wisdom and strategic insight. Observing Roman with fresh eyes, Chris speculated about the remarkable transformation that had taken place, even surpassing the esteemed Captain Jonathan in prowess and understanding. The phrase "observe and learn" took on a deeper meaning for Chris. He interpreted it not as a mere directive, but as an invitation to enlighten himself while closely observing Roman's every move. With this revelation, Chris made a resolute commitment to continue observing and learning from Roman until he surpassed the current limits of his own abilities. As Chris dedicated himself to this newfound path, Roman, pleased with the young knight's dedication, instructed Kevin to continue with his training. The narrative pivots to the bustling market, where the air is charged with gossip about the shattered engagement between Roman Dimitry and Flora Lawrence. Rumors swirl that Flora's blunder during Viscount Lawrence's announcement played a pivotal role, as many speculate that the Viscount, protective of his cherished daughter, couldn't bear to see her linked to the perceived foolishness of Dimitry. The timing of the breakup, just on the brink of war with Barco, prompts some to suggest that Dimitri's eldest son is even more problematic than the circulating rumors imply. However, amid the speculations, a counter-narrative emerges, championing the idea that Roman himself vanquished the notorious Blood Fang. Yet the majority perceive this as a strategic move to salvage Roman's reputation in the aftermath of the broken engagement. Transitioning to the Barco's palace, the eldest Barco's son grapples with disbelief over Roman's decision to sever ties with the Lawrence family. Anthony Barco, seeing Roman as pliable, contemplates the unfolding scenario. His trusted butler confirms Roman's participation in an upcoming party, substantiated by a letter from the Dimitrys. Anthony, confident in the success of his machinations, eagerly awaits the impending event, noting that his excitement for a party hasn't been this palpable in quite some time. The scene shifted, and a week later, the day of the social gathering hosted by the Barcos arrived. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation as the aristocratic elite gathered for the occasion. The much-anticipated day of the social party finally dawned, and the excitement permeated the air as we made our way to Roman's room. There, amidst an array of clothing choices, Roman turned to Hans, seeking guidance on his attire for the evening. In a burst of enthusiasm, Hans shared the significance of the event. It was Roman's first official gathering since his disengagement, a momentous occasion that demanded careful consideration in the wardrobe department. Hans, ever the fashion enthusiast, insisted that Roman couldn't just wear anything. He envisioned a look that would not only reflect Roman's stature, but also make a statement about his newfound freedom. As Roman mulled over the suggested outfit, Hans's excitement gave way to a subtle unease. He had poured his heart and soul into creating this dress, hoping to capture the essence of Roman's personality and the symbolism of the occasion. The hesitation in Roman's eyes sparked a flicker of sadness in Hans, as he feared his creation might not see the light of day. After a brief internal debate, Roman agreed to don the outfit, a decision that brought immense relief and joy to Hans. The scene transitioned outside, where a carriage awaited. Chris, standing by, grew visibly agitated as Kevin arrived fashionably late. Kevin, seemingly unfazed, attributed his tardiness to the struggle of donning armor. Chris, however, couldn't shake off the disbelief that lingered in his eyes. Despite Roman's assistance, Kevin had managed to outshine him, a fact that gnawed at Chris's competitive spirit. In a stern yet paternal tone, Chris emphasized the gravity of their roles as lieges, escorts, and representatives of the Dimitry house. He cautioned Kevin against impulsive decisions and urged him to be mindful of his words. The reputation of Dimitry, a powerhouse in the Northeast, rested on their shoulders. Chris, while acknowledging Kevin's capabilities, stressed the importance of measured actions and wise choices. Kevin, ever the eager learner, responded with excitement. He respectfully addressed Chris as Sir Knight, a gesture that brought a genuine smile to Chris's face. As the mentor-apprentice dynamic solidified, Chris reassured Kevin, encouraging him to seek guidance whenever uncertain. Grateful for the advice, Kevin expressed his thanks, ready to navigate the complexities of the evening under Chris's seasoned guidance. The narrative then shifted to the opulent Barco Palace, where the social elite had gathered. Amidst the clinking of glasses and the hum of conversation, guests discussed Roman's unexpected participation in the Barco party. They couldn't fathom why Roman, having broken off a political marriage he had fervently pushed for, would now be present at an event hosted by the very house he had seemingly rejected. Critics, quick to judge, labeled Roman a moron, questioning his decision-making abilities. The conversation pivoted to the intricate web of political relationships involving Dmitry and Barko. The Dmitry family's position, once clear-cut, now seemed ambiguous due to Roman's actions. While acknowledging the greediness inherent in maintaining ties with Barko, guests conceded that Roman's presence was an attempt to rectify his past mistakes. In the midst of a lively social gathering, a blonde girl found herself intrigued by the discussions surrounding a certain Roman Dimitry. Curiosity getting the better of her, she turned to the guy next to her, seeking insights into the enigmatic character everyone seemed to be talking about. The guy, perhaps not the biggest fan of Roman, responded with a touch of cynicism. He suggested that she would form her own opinion when she met him, but shared his own less than impressive view. According to him, Roman left a terrible impression, and his unremarkable appearance, particularly his small stature, did little to redeem him in the eyes of this observer. As the chatter continued, a butler's announcement cut through the conversation, declaring the arrival of the eldest son of the Dimitry family. The news sent a ripple of surprise through the gathering, leaving everyone anticipating the entrance of the talked-about Roman. The atmosphere brimmed with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. And then, like a burst of unexpected sunshine, Roman made his grand entrance. A dazzling smile adorned his face, and an air of confidence emanated from him, shocking the assembled guests. He defied their preconceived notions, appearing vastly different from the image they had painted in their minds. It was a moment of collective disbelief as Roman shattered the expectations, particularly regarding his height, and left everyone questioning their earlier assessments. The blonde girl who had been inquiring about Roman found herself drawn to him. Seizing the opportunity, she approached him directly. With a warm smile, Roman graciously acknowledged her presence. Sophia, introducing herself as a member of the Grizzle family, expressed that her family might not be well known, but her father, Baron Grizzle, dedicated his life to the kingdom of Cairo. Roman, still wearing that disarming smile, assured Sophia that he was well aware of the Grizzle family. This revelation touched Sophia deeply. She couldn't help but feel a connection, appreciating Roman's familiarity with her family's history. Roman, reflecting on this encounter, recognized the importance of understanding the legacies of the families he would encounter. In a flashback to the library scene, we saw Hans, Roman's confidant, providing him with detailed information on all the northeastern families. Hans, ever curious, questioned Roman's sudden interest in such specifics. Roman, with a sense of responsibility befitting his role as the representative of the Dimitry family, explained his rationale. He believed that equipping himself with knowledge about each person's background and legacy was essential. Roman understood that such efforts were crucial, especially given his less than flattering reputation as the Moron of Dimitry. Returning to the present, Roman continued his conversation with Sophia. He shared additional insights about her family's long-standing presence in the Northeast and highlighted the Grizzle family's renown for producing high-quality lumber in the Kingdom of Cairo. It was a subtle yet effective way of demonstrating Roman's awareness and respect for the various families and their contributions. Roman caught wind of Sophia's sibling achieving a significant feat in sensing mana, prompting him to congratulate Sophia on her family's success. The unexpected depth of Roman's knowledge about her family left Sophia pleasantly surprised. As they engaged in lively conversation, other nobles observed the exchange, captivated by the genuine and animated interaction between Roman and Sophia. Witnessing the scene unfold, additional nobles were drawn to Roman, eager to introduce themselves and partake in the conversation. The lively atmosphere surrounding Roman became a magnet, attracting the attention and curiosity of those in attendance. Roman, ever gracious, seamlessly transitioned between conversations, piquing the interest of those he engaged with. Amidst the social interactions, Roman found himself face-to-face with a noble who happened to be the eldest son of Volt. Expressing his disbelief at the chance encounter, Roman went on to commend Viscount Volt for his remarkable accomplishments in past battles. The eldest son of Volt, initially taken aback by Roman's familiarity with his family's history, expressed gratitude for Roman's kind words. Roman's ability to connect on a personal level and showcase awareness of each noble's background began to shape a positive perception of him within the gathering. However, the pleasant social atmosphere took an unexpected turn when a butler entered, delivering news that Lord Baron Anthony had requested Roman's presence in the back room. Sensing that this could be an opportunity to address a lingering issue, Roman contemplated the impending meeting with a mix of curiosity and determination. The scene then transitioned to the outside, where the escorts and knights of nobles awaited developments. In a parallel storyline, Kevin, one of the escorts, sought clarification from Chris, the senior knight, about the nature of a social party. Chris, perhaps jaded by their societal standing, dismissed the idea of them ever attending such an event and advised against taking an interest in it. This exchange caught the attention of two knights who had overheard the conversation and considered Chris and Kevin as inconsequential. Rumors surrounding Roman's status as the abandoned eldest son circulated, and the knights couldn't fathom why Roman would bring an inexperienced escort like Kevin, someone seemingly incapable of wielding a sword properly. Despite Chris's counsel to ignore the disparaging comments, the knights persisted in taunting them. They asserted that the Dimitry family paled in comparison to the influence of the Barkos. In response, Kevin, wearing a serious expression, advanced towards the taunting knights, prepared to confront the disrespect they were hurling their way. The scene seamlessly shifts back to the lively party, where Roman makes his way into a discreet back room to meet with Anthony Barko. Anthony's expression lights up with happiness and surprise upon seeing Roman, prompting a natural curiosity about the changes that had taken place in Roman's life during their time apart. As Roman settles into the conversation, he inwardly notes that Anthony is the person who has been causing him distress. Taking a seat across from each other, Anthony initiates the dialogue, expressing both joy and skepticism at the notable transformation he observes in Roman. There's an air of curiosity around Anthony as he wonders aloud about the events that transpired in Roman's life during the period they hadn't crossed paths. In the dimly lit room adorned with lingering traces of prior occupants, Roman keenly observes the glasses on the table. The fact that Anthony cleared the room for Roman's arrival suggests a confidential conversation lies ahead. Eager to create an atmosphere of comfort, Roman responds candidly. He confesses uncertainty about the changes within himself, acknowledging a time when he used to spend extravagantly to engineer a new identity. However, now transformation seems to occur organically, without conscious effort. Despite the uncertainty, Roman expresses genuine pleasure at the prospect of reuniting with Anthony. As the conversation unfolds, Anthony tells Roman that he thinks Roman could interpret it positively because, honestly, Anthony didn't know what Roman was thinking at that time. Roman then asks Anthony what he means. He recounts a time when Roman, entangled in a political marriage with the Lawrence family and enjoying amicable relations with the Barkos, was discovered in a compromising situation with Anthony's cousin in a back room during a social gathering. Anthony expresses astonishment and concern, questioning Roman's judgment, particularly with his impending marriage hanging in the balance. This revelation adds layers to the narrative. In the present moment, Anthony interprets Roman's participation in the current party as a form of confirmation regarding a proposal Anthony had in mind. He assures Roman that the indiscretion in the back room will remain shrouded in secrecy, emphasizing the need to move forward and discuss Roman's impending marriage to the Barko family. As Anthony lays out his intentions, Roman's mind becomes a canvas, painting vivid memories of the old Roman who, at one point, felt betrayed by Anthony Barko and sought a political alliance with the Lawrence family. As the narrative unfolds, the older version of Roman realizes that he can't continue evading the repercussions of his past actions. Viewing the upcoming gathering as an opportunity to mend broken relationships, he decides to confront Anthony Barko, the individual who has been a source of frustration. At the latest party, Anthony warmly introduces Roman to his cousin, Emily Barko. In an attempt to ease Roman into the social setting, Anthony encourages him to join them for a drink. Being Roman's first time at such an event, Anthony wants to ensure he feels welcome. As they settle down and begin to drink, Emily, in a gesture of hospitality, tries to pour a drink for Roman. However, displaying a sense of independence, Roman stops her, insisting on pouring his own drink. Anthony teases Roman about potentially showing off, alluding to Roman's upcoming marriage to Flora Lawrence. This revelation unsettles Roman, but Anthony quickly reassures him that the Barko family no longer holds any concern for the Lawrence family, alleviating some of Roman's unease. Anthony, adopting a carefree attitude, urges Roman to cast aside his worries and enjoy the evening. However, as the night progresses, Roman wakes up in bed with Emily, utterly bewildered as he lacks any recollection of the events leading up to that moment. To complicate matters further, Anthony walks in and is immediately incensed upon discovering Roman with his cousin. Anthony steers Roman to a seat and addresses him sternly, stating that he doesn't care about Roman's romantic entanglements. Still, laying hands on a member of the Barko family is deemed unacceptable. In a decisive moment, Anthony presents Roman with two options. The first involves exposing the truth about the night's events, leading to Roman's unilateral disengagement. The second, more unexpected choice requires Roman to marry a direct descendant of the Barco family to repair the fractured relationship between the Dimitry and Barco families. The shock of this ultimatum leaves Roman speechless, and Anthony, with a subtle smirk, conveys his anger at Roman's actions while offering forgiveness if Roman embraces the Barco family fully. The weight of this decision now rests heavily on Roman's shoulders. Fast forward to the present, where the current version of Roman, having experienced the passage of time, gains a fuller understanding of the events that unfolded with his older self. The puzzle pieces fall into place as he comprehends the consequences of past actions. The impending disintegration of the marriage due to Roman's indiscretions with a collateral descendant of the Barco family has severe implications. The honor of the Dimitry family faces a precipitous decline, casting a long shadow over Roman's realization of the gravity of his past choices. Meanwhile, the old Roman, likely overwhelmed by the prospect of facing his father's wrath, stood at a crossroads. Torn between duty and love, he grappled with a decision that would shake the course of his life. Old Roman's heart was tethered to Flora, a love that seemed to transcend the boundaries of social expectations. Yet the patriarchal expectations of his time loomed heavily over him, stifling the confidence needed to confront his father. Faced with an impossible choice, old Roman couldn't bring himself to break off the marriage he had forcibly established. The fear of defaming Flora in the process became an insurmountable obstacle. Trapped in the cycle of despair, old Roman saw only one way out. The weight of societal norms, coupled with his own internal turmoil, pushed him to the brink of desperation. In a tragic turn of events, he chose to end his life, hoping that his death would untangle the complicated web he found himself in. It was a decision born out of a desire for resolution, a belief that his sacrifice could somehow make everything right. However, the legacy of old Roman's choices cast a long shadow. In the eyes of the current Roman, he saw not a tragic figure, but a weak man who had accomplished nothing on his own strength. To the current Roman, this was a pathetic tale of a man who succumbed to the pressures of society. Amidst this internal conflict, Anthony Barco emerged as a pivotal figure. He approached Roman, highlighting the significance of a union between the Dimitrys and the Barcos. Anthony painted a picture of political upheaval in the northeastern region, with Roman positioned to wield absolute power. It was a proposal that could alter the course of history, yet Roman found himself unable to accept it. Roman, bound by his principles, refused the political marriage proposal. To him, the idea of leveraging such a union for personal gain was unacceptable. Anthony, however, had a different perspective. He warned Roman that rejecting the proposal would lead to the exposure of a hidden truth, a secret that could tarnish the Dimitry family's reputation irreparably. Undeterred by this threat, Roman stood firm. He dismissed the idea that the Dimitry family needed to accept the Barco family's proposal for the sake of avoiding scandal. Later, at a social gathering, Roman found himself caught in the delicate dance of social obligations and personal convictions. Explaining to Sophia that he had an urgent matter to attend to, he regretfully announced his early departure. Despite Sophia's disappointment, Roman assured her that they would meet again when the opportune moment presented itself. As Roman made his exit, the atmosphere shifted abruptly. A sudden commotion pierced the air, drawing Roman's attention. Shock washed over him as he witnessed Barco knights attacking Kevin. In the midst of the medieval drama, the narrative takes a step back to a critical moment that unfolded a few hours earlier. Kevin, catching wind of the Barco knights, felt a surge of indignation and resolved to confront them. However, Chris, his level-headed companion, intervened, urging Kevin to endure the provocation. The tension escalated as two Barco knights, embodying the epitome of arrogance, approached the duo, ridiculing Kevin for his comically ill-fitting helmet. Chris, never one to shy away from a verbal skirmish, retorted with a cutting remark. He questioned whether the knights of Barco honed their skills in mockery rather than the art of the sword. Unfazed, one of the Barco knights boasted about his superior swordsmanship compared to Kevin and took the opportunity to disparage their liege as a moron. The verbal duel reached its climax as Kevin, fiercely protective of his liege, young Master Roman, demanded a retraction of the disrespectful remarks. In a swift turn of events, the Barco knight responded not with words, but with a resounding punch to Kevin's face. Shocked but undeterred, Chris instinctively moved to draw his sword. However, a moment of realization halted him in his tracks. The Dimitry family, to which Chris and Kevin belonged, was currently entangled in a delicate conflict of interest with the Barco family. Chris hesitated, recognizing that his actions could precipitate consequences not only for young Master Roman, but for the entire Dimitry lineage. As Kevin rose from the unexpected blow, he declared himself as his liege knight, expressing disdain for dealing with Barco thugs masquerading as knights. The Barco knight, reveling in his perceived triumph, prepared for another punch. Yet just before the blow could land, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Young Master Roman himself emerged from the shadows, intervening in a manner that left everyone dumbfounded. In an unprecedented move, Roman, typically reserved and composed, delivered a series of stinging slaps to the Barco knight's face. The Barco knight, unable to comprehend the abrupt turn of events, found himself on the receiving end of a humiliating display. Roman's repeated slaps left an indelible mark, both physically and symbolically, asserting his dominance and commanding the knight to raise his head with a menacing glare. The scene, akin to a theatrical crescendo, pivoted from the confrontation to Anthony Barco, the eldest son of the Barco family. His disbelief mirrored that of the readers as he grappled with the unexpected twist involving his kin and young Master Roman. The narrative then transported the audience back to the genesis of this conflict, a few hours earlier, when Anthony had confronted Roman. In a bold proposition, Anthony insisted that Roman take responsibility for allegedly laying hands on a lady of the Barco family. The proposed resolution? Marriage to a direct descendant of the Barco lineage. However, Roman staunchly refuses, wearing a self-assured smirk. He dismisses the potential fallout, claiming that being called a moron is nothing new, especially when he's already subjected to mistreatment. In a surprising twist, Roman challenges Anthony to conduct himself appropriately, emphasizing that Roman has chosen to terminate the proposed marriage on his terms, unaffected by Anthony's threats. Roman subtly hints at the Dimitry family's estrangement from the Lawrence family, suggesting that Anthony's desires have already been fulfilled in some measure. With a serious expression, Roman confronts Anthony, questioning whether he would go to the lengths of manipulating the Lawrence family merely to settle a personal vendetta against him, the eldest son of the Barcos. Anthony, taken aback by Roman's unexpected revelation, is left grappling with the implications of this newfound information. Roman, revealing a depth of strategic thinking, discloses that he has thoroughly researched the Barco family. While acknowledging their influential connections with the central government, Roman underscores that the Barcos' power hinges solely on those affiliations. In a subtle power play, Roman asserts that, when considering wealth and influence, the true powerhouse in the Northeast is the Dimitry family, not the Barcos. With these revelations hanging in the air, Roman leaves Anthony to ponder the next course of action. Anthony informs Roman that once this issue is settled, Roman won't involve himself in the Lawrence family matters. Roman acknowledges this, and Anthony concludes by saying that this conversation is now finished. The sudden shift in Roman's demeanor, marked by a change not only in his facial expressions, but also in his actions, gaze, and tone, leaves Anthony bewildered and uncertain about how to proceed. As the tension thickens, a butler interrupts the contemplative atmosphere with urgent news. Roman and a Barco knight are engaged in a heated altercation. Outside, nobles gather to witness the unexpected spectacle. Roman, displaying a relentless resolve, continues to slap the Barco knight repeatedly. The knight, now desperate for reprieve, pleads for forgiveness and promises to refrain from repeating the offense. Kevin and Chris, familiar with Roman's fiery temperament, attempt to intervene, urging him to cease the punishment. However, Roman, unwavering, insists that he alone will determine when the Barco knight has faced adequate consequences for his actions. As the confrontation unfolds, Roman remains unyielding in his resolve, expressing a stark philosophy that if the Barco knight faces dire consequences for his words and actions, it's a price he must pay. Anthony Barco intervenes, insisting that Roman, despite his status as the eldest son of the Dimitry family, cannot engage in such behavior. Anthony demands an immediate apology from Roman for his actions. Roman challenges the necessity of an apology, pointing out that the Barco knight not only slandered him, but also laid hands on a member of the Dimitry family. He questions whether Anthony still believes Roman is the one at fault. Anthony, recognizing Roman's crossing of a line, recalls Roman's earlier warning about personal grudges affecting their family's relationship. In response, Roman shifts the responsibility back to Anthony, asserting that Anthony should be the one exercising restraint. Moving in close, Roman, with impatience in his tone, prompts Anthony to make a decision. Anthony, recollecting Roman's involvement in the conflict with Lawrence, reluctantly agrees that Roman is justified in his actions. He admits that he too would have meted out a similar punishment to the Barco knight. Roman smirks at the acknowledgement, commenting on their seemingly compatible understanding. He proceeds to deliver a lesson to the Barco knight, Afterward, Roman moves to the side to clean the blood off his hand. He then instructs Kevin and Chris to return to their carriage. Everyone present has no option but to accept the undeniable truth that the foolish Roman Dimitry they once knew no longer exists. Hi everyone, the artist for this manhwa made some changes in the art, so now the characters might look different. You might notice differences in their hair color and faces compared to before. So now let's get back to the recap. In the quiet confines of the carriage, a palpable sense of disappointment lingered as Kevin and Chris found themselves immersed in the aftermath of a tumultuous encounter. Kevin, with a remorseful expression, took the first step towards reconciliation. He offered a sincere apology to Roman for the actions that had led to the insult directed at him. Chris, too, recognized the need to address the rift that had developed during the tumultuous events. He apologized to Roman, admitting that he had failed to act when Dimitry's name was being dragged through the mud and Kevin faced physical aggression. Roman listened, his gaze steady, absorbing the sincerity in Chris's words. Amidst these apologies, Roman, with a measured tone, assured both Kevin and Chris that he understood the difficulty they must have faced in enduring such a situation. Gratitude marked his words as he thanked them for weathering the storm until his arrival. The unexpected acknowledgement left both Kevin and Chris surprised, a newfound understanding dawning upon them. However, Roman's expression shifted, adopting a serious countenance. He spoke of the perils of rashness, emphasizing that chaos often accompanied impulsive actions, while he recognized that Kevin and Chris' decisions had averted a potential catastrophe. He made it clear that it wasn't the ideal outcome he had sought. In a moment of guidance, Roman conveyed a powerful message. He asserted that within the vast expanse of the northeast of Cairo, none should dare lay a hand on the Dimitry family. Even if faced with humiliation, Roman instructed Kevin and Chris to etch the faces of those responsible into their memories and to let their resentment burn brightly, never to be extinguished. The gravity of Roman's words lingered as he revealed his aversion to seeing anyone hold power over him. With unwavering determination, he urged Kevin and Chris to embrace his ways and follow his lead in crafting a life where they stood above all. The carriage became a vessel for the profound weight of Roman's expectations, and the trio now stood at a crossroads, their destinies intertwined. As the scene transitioned, the setting shifted to the grandeur of the Dimitry Palace. A butler, with utmost respect, presented Roman with information about the Barco family. This valuable intelligence had been procured from the esteemed Black Moon Information Guild. The recent movements of the Barco family had raised eyebrows, and Roman was eager to unravel the mystery. The document revealed that the Barco family had settled in the northeast over a century ago, coinciding with their ascent to power. Intriguingly, it was during this period that a member of the Barco family had entered the central government, marking a pivotal moment in their history. Roman meticulously examined the details, noting that the military strength of the Barco family did not align with their perceived status. Hans, a trusted confidant, expressed surprise at the apparent mismatch between the Barco family's status and their military capabilities. Roman, with a hint of contemplation, attributed this incongruity to the overwhelming power wielded by the central government. In the sprawling expanse of the Salamander continent, two mighty empires held sway, and within this geopolitical tapestry, the Kingdom of Cairo emerged as a diminutive and feeble entity. The key to Cairo's vulnerability lay in its geographical positioning, surrounded by other kingdoms, bereft of natural defenses like mountains. Over the ages, this exposed the kingdom to a series of invasions from external forces, rendering it weak and beleaguered. The survival strategy adopted by Cairo was one of pragmatic necessity, aligning with the central government. This alliance, while a lifeline for Cairo, inadvertently bolstered the strength of the central government. The mechanics of this alliance were intricate, with the central government wielding absolute authority over conscription. In the face of conscription, noble families in Cairo faced a stark ultimatum. Rejecting conscription branded them as insurgents, triggering immediate dispatches of soldiers to quell any resistance. Post-subjugation, the kingdom seized the insurgents' lands, considering them as possessions of the crown. The neighboring lords who assisted in this suppression were rewarded with a share of the confiscated land. The remaining portions were then bestowed upon new aristocrats, steadfastly loyal to the central government. This intricate dance of power and influence was the source of the Barco's intangible strength. Their close ties and collaboration with the central government secured their position in the complex political web. This system not only granted the Barcos a level of influence, but also served as a means for them to navigate the delicate dynamics of power within the Salamander continent. Hans, a trusted confidant, found himself taken aback by the depth of this political intricacy. The revelation exceeded his expectations, and he grappled with the implications of such a system. Roman explained that this arrangement was not merely about military strength but extended to economic maneuvering as well. The Barcos' financial acumen was exemplified by their ability to secure a considerable loan from the gold bank. Roman suspected that the Barcos had obtained this loan not by offering specific collateral but through a credit guarantee, showcasing their shrewd financial maneuvering. The borrowed funds were strategically invested in the establishment of the Barge Mercenary Company. This mercenary group, led by the formidable A-rank mercenary Burge, comprised 100 skilled fighters. Their primary source of income lay in participating in battles between territories. Roman revealed that the Barcos' financial ventures, coupled with their military might, were part of a larger strategy, positioning them as formidable players in the ever-shifting landscape of power struggles. As the discussion unfolded, Hans brought to Roman's attention the recent conscription efforts by the Barcos. Moreover, there were ominous signs pointing towards an imminent attack on Lawrence within half a month. Roman, a seasoned strategist, processed this information, realizing that the Barcos had concluded their preparations for war. Contemplating the impending conflict, Roman foresaw challenging odds in a war against Lawrence. Even in the event of a siege, he estimated that Lawrence would be able to withstand the assault for no more than a month. In the recesses of Roman's thoughts, a promise lingered, one made to Anthony Barco that he would refrain from meddling in Lawrence's affairs. However, the stakes had shifted. For Roman Dimitry to persist, he couldn't afford to turn a blind eye to the looming threat the Barcos now posed. They had not only targeted Roman but, in doing so, had ignited a conflict that demanded his attention. Roman, the patriarch of the Dimitry family, acknowledged the inadequacy of the Barcos' forces against the might of Dimitry. While it might seem a straightforward task to overpower them using the Dimitry family's formidable strength, Roman deemed such an action devoid of purpose. Beyond the shared origin of the Dimitrys and the Barcos, the nobility in the northeast considered Roman Dimitry as a negligible threat. To Roman, the crucial need of the hour was an opportunity to ascend to a higher echelon, reminiscent of past triumphs. Turning to Hans, Roman expressed his desire to meet with his father. It was time to cash in on the promises made to him during prior dealings. The intricate dance of politics and power in the Salamander continent demanded strategic moves, and Roman sought to navigate these currents with a calculated finesse. The narrative then shifted to the lively marketplace, a stark contrast to the weighty discussions in the corridors of power. Amidst the bustling activity, a figure caught the attention of onlookers. Lucas, a B-rank mercenary, strode through the market with armor stained by the recent battle. This seemingly inconspicuous soldier held his own tales of the front lines, and the people observed him with a mix of awe and curiosity. Lucas sought refuge at an armor shop, his armor telling the story of the perilous encounter he had faced. The shop owner, astute and discerning, engaged Lucas in conversation, inquiring about the intensity of the battle. Lucas, in his candid manner, recounted a near-death experience attributed to the recklessness of his companions. The shop owner, examining the battered state of Lucas's armor, couldn't help but comment on its poor quality. Intrigued, the shop owner probed further, asking where Lucas had acquired his gear. Lucas, revealing a past misjudgment, explained that he had tried another store once and paid the price with a brush with death. The shop owner, recognizing an opportunity to impart wisdom, extolled the superiority of the Dimitri's ironwork and equipment production. In doing so, he advised Lucas against straying to other establishments in pursuit of armor and weaponry. Lucas, appreciative of the advice, admitted that it was precisely why he had sought out this particular shop. The shop owner, acknowledging the need for repair, assured Lucas that he would craft a full set for him, although it would take some time. Unfazed by the wait, Lucas shared his intention to recuperate in Dimitry for a while, expressing weariness with the relentless demands of the battlefield. As Lucas emerged from the armor shop, he was met with a spectacle. A crowd congregated around a notice board. The curiosity in the air was palpable, and Lucas couldn't help but be drawn to the gathering. Lucas sauntered over to investigate. Pinned to the board was a recruitment notice seeking private soldiers, a common occurrence in a world marked by shifting allegiances and power dynamics. The requisites were simple: good health, a desire for personal growth, and a select 30 recruits would be chosen. The offered wage stood at 8 silver coins per month, a sum that, upon quick mental calculation, seemed reasonable given the potential risks involved. As Lucas contemplated the opportunity, his experienced mind factored in the average cost of living for a family of 4, roughly estimated at 5 silvers. Despite the apparent hazards, the monthly wage offered by this recruitment appeared enticing. Yet a crucial condition caught Lucas's attention. The recruits would exclusively belong to Roman Dimitry, a nuance that demanded undivided loyalty to Roman, not the broader Dimitry family. The elderly man beside Lucas advises him against applying, mentioning that numerous others have likely already done so. In response, Lucas explains that despite his appearance, he's a B-rank mercenary and demands a minimum of 50 silvers monthly to consider pledging loyalty. Surprisingly, Lucas realizes that many people have already submitted applications. Perplexed, he questions the old man about the true worth of the opportunity. The old man, in turn, asks Lucas to clarify. Lucas expresses doubt, acknowledging favorable conditions but questioning whether serving under Roman Dimitry, whom he views as foolish, is truly worthwhile. This candid remark drew disbelieving glances from those within earshot. To Lucas's surprise, the old man refuted his characterization of Roman. The old man enlightened Lucas, explaining that Lord Roman had undergone a transformative journey. No longer the fool he was once perceived to be, Roman had achieved remarkable feats, including defeating the notorious Blood Fang. More significantly, Roman had demonstrated a genuine care for his people, reshaping his public image. Lucas, grappling with this unexpected revelation, probed further, questioning the credibility of the newfound information. The old man's response was anchored in the testimony of someone named Clark, a figure who seemed to carry weight in shaping public opinion about Lord Roman. Eager to learn more, Lucas pressed the old man for details about Clark. The old man revealed that Clark's son, Kevin, had become a subordinate to Lord Roman. In a heartening twist of fate, this allegiance had transformed the Clark family's life, lifting them out of poverty. It was a tangible example of the positive impact Roman had on the lives of those who aligned with him. As the old man shared this anecdote, the scene transitioned to the emergence of Kevin from a nearby bakery. In the grand halls of the Dimitry Palace, a surprising directive came from Roman to Kevin, disrupting the usual routine. Roman urged Kevin to take a break, a notion that initially left Kevin bewildered. However, Roman elaborated, suggesting a 3-day leave starting the following day. To Roman, this period of rest was more than just a hiatus. It was an extension of the training Kevin had diligently undertaken. Acknowledging Kevin's relentless efforts, Roman emphasized the importance of spending quality time with family. Expressing gratitude, Kevin retreated to his room, reflecting on the peculiar sensation of stepping away from the demanding daily grind. It had been a long while since Kevin had seen his family. The castle had become a second home, but the ties that bound him to his kin remained strong. In this moment of contemplation, Hans, a confidant and aide, reached out to Kevin. Practical and considerate, Hans questioned Kevin's intent to reunite with his family in his current state. Sensing the need for a more presentable appearance, Hans revealed that Lord Roman had arranged clean clothes for Kevin. To sweeten the reunion, Hans handed Kevin some money, advising him to buy gifts for his family. Furthermore, Hans shared the news that Kevin would now receive a monthly allowance of 30 silvers, granting him a newfound financial freedom. In the bustling marketplace, Kevin put this financial freedom to good use, purchasing thoughtful gifts for his family. The clothes provided by Lord Roman amazed him with their softness, a stark contrast to the armor-clad life he had become accustomed to. As he bought fresh bread, Kevin couldn't help but think of his sister Mary's peculiar cravings. Mary, with her lifelong wish to enjoy whipped cream on freshly baked bread, had been a source of amusement in the family. Kevin remembered her daily complaints about the monotony of having bread every day. These memories contrasted sharply with darker times when the menacing Blood Fang members would visit their house, demanding money. Kevin, now under the guidance of young Master Roman, resolved to become stronger and protect his family from such threats. Arriving home with a bundle of gifts, Kevin was greeted by a sight that left him in awe. His family, once weathered by hardships, now reveled in a happiness that took Kevin by surprise. As his sister and parents welcomed him with genuine joy, Kevin's mother enveloped him in a warm hug. The reunion was a testament to the transformative power of time and the positive changes that had unfolded. Overwhelmed by the warmth of his family, Kevin couldn't help but inquire about the house. Kevin's world took a sudden and unexpected turn when his parents revealed the astonishing generosity bestowed upon them by none other than Sir Hans, acting on the will of Lord Roman. Their family, which had known its fair share of struggles, was now the recipient of a house and land, gifts from a noble lord that left them bewildered. The castle's residents, recognizing the arrival of Kevin's family, extended a helping hand to ease their settling-in process. Overwhelmed by the unexpected support, Kevin couldn't contain his emotions and found himself shedding tears, contemplating the depth of Lord Roman's impact on his family's life. The tender moment shifted as Kevin's father noticed a bruise on his son's cheek, prompting concern and questions. A suspicion arose that perhaps Lord Roman had played a role in this injury. Quick to defend his lord, Kevin clarified that there was no mistreatment involved, yet the worry etched on Kevin's mother's face persisted, leading her to implore Kevin to share the truth. She expressed a readiness to uproot the family if it meant escaping mistreatment. However, Kevin, unwavering in his belief in Lord Roman's character, reassured them that their fears were unfounded. As Kevin began recounting the events, the scene transitioned to a local restaurant where his father, bursting with pride and excitement, shared the extraordinary turn of events with friends. Lord Roman, contrary to their expectations, had provided them with a house and land upon Kevin's recruitment as a knight. The revelation took an even more unexpected turn when Kevin's father disclosed that Lord Roman had intervened physically, slapping a Barco knight to protect his own subordinate, a revelation that left his father's friends incredulous. The news spread like wildfire through the town, challenging the prevailing perception of Lord Roman as the moron of Dimitry. The townsfolk found it hard to believe that a noble would go to such great lengths for a subordinate. The shift in perspective was seismic. Lord Roman, once dismissed as an idiot, was now seen as a caring and protective leader. The narrative suggested that gaining Roman's trust could pave the way for an entirely different life, a notion that started to reshape the town's collective opinion. The transformation extended to the notice board, where an old man explained to Lucas the surge in applicants for the private soldier recruitment. Lucas, struggling to reconcile this new image of Roman with the one he knew, found it difficult to believe that Roman had subjugated the Blood Fang and handled the social party incident. It contradicted the Roman he had witnessed causing a commotion in a casino just 2 years prior. Lucas found himself consumed by curiosity, pondering the enigma that was Roman over the past 2 years. The prospect of unraveling the mystery surrounding Roman stirred excitement within Lucas, compelling him to seek confirmation firsthand. Shifting to the Dimitry Palace, Viscount Dimitry, Roman's father, received an update from Jonathan on the preparations for an upcoming trial. The process was proceeding smoothly, and Lord Roman would take charge of the overall proceedings. However, Viscount Dimitry's curiosity about the timeline prompted him to question Jonathan on how much time had elapsed. Jonathan, with a note of caution, warned the Viscount that this was his last chance to reconsider the path they were treading. He expressed concerns about the potential dangers of developing private soldiers exclusively for one individual. Viscount Dimitry then shared a pivotal moment when he first learned that Roman would participate in Barco's social party. His initial fear was that Roman might align with the Barcos to remove Dimitri's second-born from the line of succession. To his surprise, Roman defied expectations, publicly slapping a Barco knight in front of numerous nobles. Even when Anthony, a potential ally, could have joined forces with Viscount Dimitri's second-born to undermine Roman's succession, Roman chose to assert his independence. Roman's actions signaled a departure from the perception that had plagued him for over a decade. Once deemed a moron, Roman had reshaped his life since the Blood Fang incident, living according to his own terms. Viscount Dimitry, Roman's father, expressed a genuine desire to support his son's newfound path. Acknowledging the Viscount's sentiments, Jonathan understood the complexity of the situation. Viscount Dimitry then delved into practical concerns, questioning Jonathan about the number of applicants for the upcoming trial. Given Roman's unconventional reputation, the Viscount hoped for a modest number. Anything above 50 would have been a relief. To his astonishment, Jonathan dropped a bombshell. Over 500 individuals had applied. The magnitude of the response left Viscount Dimitry in shock, as the unexpected surge in applicants hinted at a significant shift in Roman's standing within the community. The sheer number of people eager to participate in the trial underscored the resonance of Roman's newfound reputation and the anticipation surrounding the event. The narrative transitioned to the next day, where all the applicants gathered at the palace, marking the commencement of the trial. Chris, a key figure, approached Roman, delivering the news that the trial preparations had been completed. The scene unfolded on the eve of the trial, in a quaint inn where Lucas found solace in the embrace of his drink. The room buzzed with pre-trial anticipation, an atmosphere Lucas had not expected. The gathering of applicants exceeded his imagination, and the lively hubbub echoed the aspirations of those seeking a chance in the impending trial. At a corner table, 3 raucous individuals caught Lucas's attention. Their copper IDs, proudly hanging from their belts, marked them as C-rank mercenaries. Meanwhile, at the bar, another trio exhibited an air of battle-hardened experience, though lacking the visible insignia of mercenaries. Lucas mused about the mysteries surrounding these characters and the unspoken tales etched into their expressions. Dimitry boasted several inns, and Lucas pondered the significance of his chosen abode amidst the plethora of options. In this modest town, home to only a handful of decent people, the concentration of skilled applicants surpassed Lucas's expectations. The inn's patrons seemed cut from different cloths, each with a unique story and purpose for being there. Frustration gripped Lucas as he struggled to comprehend the convergence of seasoned warriors with the likes of him, driven by curiosity rather than necessity. His mug slammed onto the table, a manifestation of his perplexity and the weight of the unknown that hung in the air. Contemplating an early exit, Lucas found his attention unexpectedly hijacked by a conversation unfolding nearby. A man inquired of his companion Henderson about the reason for his presence. Henderson revealed his initial intention to enlist in the soldiers of the Lawrence family, his hometown's noble lineage. However, the trajectory of Henderson's fate shifted after witnessing Roman Dimitry's ruthless dismantling of the Blood Fang in Lawrence. The mere mention of Roman's name changed the atmosphere. Henderson's narrative unfolded with vivid imagery. The plaza, Roman covered in blood, dragging the Blood Fang leader by his hair. The recounting of this scene was a turning point, a visceral testament to the lengths Roman went to for justice. Lawrence, embroiled in skepticism and denial, doubted the reality of the incident. But for Henderson, there was no room for doubt. He had stood in the plaza, witnessed the indomitable strength of Roman Dimitry, and felt the shivers coursing through his spine. It was a moment etched in his memory, an undeniable truth that defied the rumors portraying Roman as a mere weakling. In the bustling inn, Henderson's impassioned proclamation echoed through the air, fueled by the influence of alcohol. He fervently asserted that Roman Dimitry was more than a leader. He was a true champion fighting for the welfare of his people. The recruitment for private soldiers, Henderson believed, was an unparalleled opportunity to become a loyal subordinate to Roman. As the eyes of the inn's patrons turned towards him, Henderson boldly declared his intent to pass the impending trial, secure permanent residence in Dimitry, and pledge allegiance to Roman, willing to lay down his life for him. This revelation left Lucas stunned, prompting him to reconsider the seemingly coincidental gathering of applicants. The dawn of the trial arrived, casting a wave of anticipation over the crowd. Lucas, reflecting on Henderson's words from the night before, grappled with a pivotal decision. If Roman Dimitry was indeed the leader described by Henderson, Lucas pondered the choices before him. He sensed a collective unease among the applicants, each facing their own internal dilemmas after hearing the rumors. Lucas anticipated that the moment of truth would unfold when they witnessed Roman's actions during the trial. As the tension reached its peak, Roman Dimitry made a grand entrance, commanding the attention of everyone present. Lucas observed in awe as an unspoken command compelled the crowd to lower their heads and make way for Roman. It became evident to Lucas that the rumors surrounding Roman were not mere exaggerations. There was an undeniable aura of authority surrounding the young leader. Roman ascended the stage, and a collective gasp swept through the crowd. Breaking the silence, he instructed the applicants to raise their heads. The unexpected presence of Roman left everyone in suspense, eager to hear his address. With the crowd's attention firmly in his grasp, Roman disclosed his plans. Contrary to expectations, he revealed that he had no intention of leading a secluded life in a remote territory. The revelation surprised the onlookers, who had anticipated a different path for the noble leader. Roman continued, articulating his relentless pursuit of a higher position and the inevitability of battles where lives hung in the balance. The gravity of his words hung in the air, challenging those who aspired to follow him to reconsider their commitment. Roman extended a warning to those without unwavering resolve, offering them a chance to turn back before the trials began. He emphasized that the path he treaded was one of constant struggle, and that following him required more than a passing curiosity or superficial dedication. Roman's declaration underscored the profound risks and challenges that awaited those who chose to stand alongside him. In closing, Roman made it clear that, in the face of potential casualties, resentment should not be directed towards him. The idea that the only regret anyone might harbor would be missing the chance to witness Roman standing as the most powerful on the continent by his side was met with disbelief. The gravity of Roman's ambition unsettled the gathered crowd, and for Lucas, it was a moment of incredulity. How could Roman, whose position within his own family was in question, aspire to such heights? To Lucas, it seemed like an unwarranted display of arrogance, yet there lingered a peculiar sense that Roman might possess the ability to turn this audacious dream into reality. Amidst the murmurs of confusion, Chris stepped forward, seizing control of the situation. He took it upon himself to lay out the instructions for the first trial, injecting a sense of urgency into the atmosphere. The trial, as he explained, was deceptively simple. An archer stationed nearby would unleash 3 arrows upon an applicant standing at a designated location. The arrows could either graze the individual, embed themselves in the plate behind, or, in the most extreme scenario, strike the applicant directly, potentially causing fatal harm. The catch? Only those who remained motionless throughout the barrage of arrows would pass the trial. The announcement left everyone in the room in stunned silence. The audacity of such a trial raised eyebrows and fueled skepticism. Chris, undeterred by the collective disbelief, proceeded with the first trial, calling forward the applicants in the order of their names. As the first brave soul stepped onto the designated spot, a ripple of uncertainty spread through the onlookers. Among them, a skeptic pondered the implausibility of aiming potentially lethal arrows at private soldier applicants. The logical reasoning dictated that subjecting participants to life-threatening trials seemed far-fetched. After all, the archer must be highly skilled, and the notion of a mistake was dismissed as absurd. The archer's first shot, calculated and deliberate, narrowly missed the guy's neck, hitting the wooden wall behind him. It was a tense moment, and onlookers convinced themselves that this was merely a psychological test. Holding firm and believing that nothing would transpire seemed like the key to success. However, as the archer released the second arrow, the atmosphere shifted. The projectile found its mark, striking the applicant in the right leg. The sudden and unexpected injury sent shockwaves through the room. The participant crumpled to the ground in pain, vividly illustrating the harsh reality of the trials. Chris, unflinching, ordered a soldier to escort the wounded individual to the medic, emphasizing the unforgiving nature of the challenges that lay ahead. The room was left in a somber state. The gravity of Roman's ambitions mirrored in the severity of the first trial. The air was thick with tension and realization as the applicants grappled not only with the physical trials before them, but also with the enormity of the leader they had chosen to follow. As the wounded participant was led away, shock permeated the room. Undeterred, Chris called for the next participant. However, the recent spectacle had a profound effect on the following applicant, who stood motionless, grappling with the sight of the arrow piercing the previous participant's thigh. The severity of the injury left the second applicant stunned, contemplating the inherent risks of the trial. Chris, recognizing the hesitancy among the applicants, acknowledged that it seemed to align with Liege Roman's foresight. Addressing the paralyzed second applicant directly, Chris assumed that the individual had surrendered to the challenges ahead, acknowledging the trial's daunting nature. Direct and unwavering, Chris offered those fearful of arrow strikes an opportunity to withdraw from the trials on the spot. He made it clear that enduring to the end, even if struck, would earn them the proud qualification of having passed the first trial. The choice presented was stark: confront the trials head-on or choose the path of withdrawal. With frustration evident in his voice, Chris shouted at the applicants, challenging the courage of anyone considering themselves a coward. The once anticipatory end now echoed with the weighty decisions each applicant had to make, to embrace the trials or succumb to their fears and exit the hall. The narrative unfolds in Roman's office. A day before the pivotal trial, Roman gathers a group of men and issues a directive that will set the tone for the challenges to come. He reveals that in the upcoming trial, they will be struck by arrows. The gravity of the situation becomes evident as Roman introduces an expert archer, emphasizing that the arrows will target non-fatal areas. The archer, exuding confidence, reassures the men that they need not worry about errant shots. Roman, embodying a mix of authority and purpose, proceeds to reward the men with a box filled with gold. The glint in their eyes at the sight of the precious metal illustrates the allure of the reward. However, Roman tempers the excitement with a stark reality check. He makes it clear that although medics will be on standby to tend to injuries, the fact remains that each man will be struck by an arrow. Undeterred, Roman poses a crucial question: will they still proceed? The response is unanimous, a collective affirmation that echoes through the room. The men, seemingly undaunted by the impending ordeal, take their leave. Chris, a confidant of Roman, seeks an explanation for the extreme measures. Roman candidly shares that mere threats won't lead him to the individuals he seeks. To truly find those he's looking for, Roman believes he must show these men that they are putting their lives on the line. It's a visceral demonstration of commitment, a litmus test for those who aspire to be in Roman's service. Roman's rationale extends beyond the physical trial. He believes that even if the chances of being struck by an arrow are slim, most applicants will face it, revealing their innate resilience. The core of his search is individuals with a robust mentality, those born with what he terms the heart of a beast. This is not just a trial, it's a revelation of character. As the narrative shifts back to the present, the trial itself unfolds. Many applicants, unable to grapple with the reality of the challenges, have given up and left. Chris, surveying the diminished crowd, estimates that approximately 100 people remain. The scenes at the trial underscore the significance of Roman's quest for the heart of a beast. It's not merely about enduring physical hardships, it's about possessing an innate strength that sets certain individuals apart. Roman, reflecting on the concept of the heart of a beast, identifies it as an innate talent. It's not just about the willingness to face challenges head-on, but also a unique disposition that distinguishes certain individuals. Roman draws parallels with those who have already demonstrated this innate strength, like Kevin, who executed orders without hesitation, or Chris, who sought strength even after facing a humiliating defeat. Roman deems it crucial to identify and select individuals with this exceptional quality, a sentiment that becomes the driving force behind the upcoming trial. As Roman issues the command to resume the trial, Lucas's mind wanders back to a pivotal moment at the inn. He recalls Henderson, now facing the trial. The visible terror on Henderson's face as the archer readies the first arrow sets the stage for a tense and critical moment. The initial arrow narrowly misses Henderson's head, intensifying the suspense. The second arrow strikes perilously close to Henderson's right arm, prompting thoughts of surrender. Henderson contemplates giving up, fearing the potential impact of the impending third arrow. However, the archer, with precise timing, releases the third arrow, hitting the target between Henderson's legs. Luck favors Henderson, and he successfully navigates the trial. Lucas, witnessing the close call, reflects on the fine line between success and surrender in such challenging circumstances. As the other participants face their own trials, the scene shifts to the culmination of the first trial. Excluding those who yielded, approximately 400 applicants persist. Of these, 120 emerge as successful candidates. Roman, evaluating the results, notes the diverse reactions among the participants, some trembling with fear, while others face the challenge with indifference. In Roman's eyes, both groups exhibit a shared trait, the courage to confront their fears, meeting the standards he deems essential. Reflecting on the broader context, Roman recognizes the need to sift through the gathered multitude, distinguishing those with genuine potential from those present for circumstantial or ulterior motives. His discerning gaze seeks individuals who will regard him with awe rather than mere fear. This discernment becomes a critical aspect of Roman's strategy in assembling a cohort of truly exceptional individuals. Addressing the 120 successful applicants, Roman commends their passage of the first trial as evidence of their worth as warriors. Yet with a firm tone, he underscores that only 30 will be accepted as his subordinates. The announcement introduces a new layer of reality and urgency, emphasizing the high stakes and rigorous standards that define Roman's selection process. The narrative deepens as Roman reveals plans for a second trial, another formidable test that will separate the chosen few from the rest. Success in this subsequent trial will elevate them to the coveted position of Roman's subordinate, a role that promises a life akin to that of a predator. The gravity of the announcement underscores the intense scrutiny and expectations placed on those who aspire to stand alongside Roman. Lucas is left astounded by the unexpected turn of events as Roman moves forward with the second trial. The air in the room thickens with anticipation as Roman outlines the straightforward rules for the participants. Wooden swords of various types are laid out, and Roman informs them that they have the freedom to choose any sword they prefer. The essence of the trial becomes clear. Each participant is tasked with proving their worth through a one-on-one duel with Roman himself. The audacity of Roman's decision to face all 120 applicants individually in a duel doesn't escape Lucas's notice. Roman, with a serious expression, addresses the participants, alleviating some of the pressure by stating that winning is not a requirement. Those who can endure and last even a mere minute against him will pass the trial, and they'll be rewarded with conditions surpassing those outlined in the notice. A bald man named Vulcan steps forward eagerly, volunteering to be the first to face Roman in the duel. A bald man steps forward, confronting Roman. Roman inquires about the bald man's name, and he introduces himself as Vulcan. Roman then checks if Vulcan is comfortable using the wooden sword, and Vulcan reassures him that it's perfectly fine. However, lurking beneath his confidence is an underestimation of Roman's abilities. Vulcan, even considering the rumors of Roman subjugating Bloodfang, believes it's impossible for Roman to defeat him in under a minute. As the duel begins, Chris signals the start, and Vulcan charges forward at full speed, determined to make an impression. Yet to his astonishment, Roman displays an agility and precision that catches Vulcan off guard. In a swift motion, Roman dodges Vulcan's attack, leaving him sprawled on the ground with Roman's sword poised at his neck. The unexpected turn of events emphasizes the vast difference in skill between Roman and the participants. With a serious demeanor, Roman calls for the next applicant, setting the stage for a series of individual duels. Lucas, witnessing this display of Roman's prowess, is thoroughly impressed. The movements Roman exhibited were not just swift, they were seemingly impossible, defying the laws of physics. Lucas grapples with the realization that this second trial is poised to be incomparably more difficult than the first. The room is charged with tension as Roman stands firm, a purple aura enveloping him. The collective gasp that swept through the onlookers was palpable as Roman effortlessly defeated Vulcan. The initial shock lingered, giving way to a curious mix of disbelief and admiration. As the duels repeated and time ticked away, the participants held on to the hope that facing Roman would gradually become more manageable. It was a commonly held belief that his stamina would eventually wane, providing them with an opportunity to strike. However, Roman defied their expectations. An hour passed since the commencement of the second round, and Roman had engaged in an astounding 60 duels, emerging victorious in each one. What baffled everyone even more was the conspicuous absence of any signs of fatigue on Roman's part. The relentless pace at which he fought seemed to have no impact on his energy reserves. Henderson, initially skeptical of Roman's prowess, found himself reevaluating his perception. Roman's earlier words, spoken with a self-assured demeanor, now took on a new meaning. Henderson realized that Roman Dimitry wasn't just a participant. He was a predator in this ruthless world of survival. The realization hit him with a clarity that bordered on unsettling. As Henderson scrutinized Roman, he sensed an aura of undeniable power. Roman's ability to navigate the duels with such ease suggested a dominance that transcended the physical realm. The Fool of Dimitry, as Roman was often labeled, now appeared as a force to be reckoned with, a potential leader in this chaotic landscape. Contemplating the situation, Henderson understood the significance of this moment. While Roman was still underestimated by many, this might be the only chance of a lifetime to align oneself with such a formidable force. Becoming Roman's subordinate in this cutthroat world could mean not just survival but a position of influence and strength. Yet the daunting question lingered: how could they face this apparent monster? The reluctance among the applicants was palpable, an unspoken agreement that challenging Roman was a perilous endeavor. In response, Roman issued a stern ultimatum: if no one stepped forward, everyone would fail. Just when hesitation threatened to paralyze the group, a lone figure emerged. Lucas, the 61st applicant, stepped forward with determination etched across his face. Addressing Roman, he bravely declared his name, breaking the tense silence that had enveloped the arena.